So Steve and I met at a recent conference where I got the chance to listen to him speak his story about what he's had to go through, the
Yeah,
trauma of it, and ratcheting it up and being able to go and make a new path and provide hope. Your story is so compelling. I'd love if you can share it with our audience. So that's why I asked you on today.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me on today. There's many levels to this. Basically, I was a very successful kid growing up, playing all these sports, every sport imaginable. I was always out in the fields. You have to stay out till the street lights come home, and your parents, getting on you. That was me. 8, 9, 10 hours a day, just playing every sport imaginable. By the time I finished my high school career, I'm from a small town in Hebron, Connecticut. By the time I finished my high school career, I was a third team All American soccer goalkeeper. I'm an all state basketball player. I'm still the all time leading scorer and rebounder in history of my high school. I was an all conference baseball player. I was a professional water skier in the summertime. So I was living the dream as a kid growing up in Connecticut. Just very successful and popular kid and great student. By the time I had to make a decision for college, I was being recruited by schools all around the country to go play soccer and basketball for them. I chose to go to the United States Military Academy, which is in West Point, New York. Very difficult place to get into, difficult place to be at. The academic rigors, the discipline, the military. Unfortunately, when I was 19 years old, my father passed away suddenly, and I didn't deal with it the right way. I thought I was man enough and mature enough and tough enough. At 19, I'm invincible, right? Nothing's going to touch me. Um, I didn't deal with it. I took a week off of school. I learned of my father's passing on a Sunday. I came back to Connecticut on Tuesday. We buried my father on Thursday. I went back to school like 2 days later. I didn't deal with it. And the next 2 years just caught up to me academically. I couldn't pass a class if I tried, failed everything miserably. Decided to leave the academy. I come home to Connecticut. I rolled to University of Connecticut, and fortunately, I was very fortunate to earn a spot in the men's basketball program at the University of Connecticut. So many, many years ago, I played 2 years as a walk-on at the University of Connecticut. I actually only played 38.7 seconds of actual basketball. I love telling that story. It's I the practices, the games. I'm on the same bench. I'm on the same court with guys like Ray Allen and Danielle Marshall and Kevin Ollie and all these guys that went out to the pro, just living a dream. And then so mid 20s, 25 years old, I'm on top of the world. I'm the most popular kid in my high school. I'm an all-American athlete. I'm a West Point cadet. I'm a UConn basketball player. I've got a great job, making a lot of money doing what I love. I'm on top of the world and ready to change the world. And I made a terrible decision one night to go out, drink, and try to drive home. And I woke up a couple days later out of a coma, and the first person I saw was the doctor who did all the surgeries on me a couple of nights prior. And she looked me in the eye and she said, "Steve, you know what? You've been in a bad automobile accident. You're never going to walk again." And she left the room. So it's like you go from talking pinnacles and top of the life and ready to take on the world and flip it upside down to waking up being told that at 25 years old. And wake me up. Somebody, this is a nightmare. What's going on? And then my mother came in, and we'll get into that later. But I started to realize what I had done. Unfortunately, making a terrible decision to drink and drive. It's not just me that it impacted, my family and my loved one, my community, people all over the place. It's a selfish act, and so now, unfortunately, I'm paralyzed from the waist down. Life moves on. We get on with it, and got to figure out at 25 years old how to put my shoes on. How to get around the kitchen to fend for myself and make myself food, and it was a difficult time in my life. It was some dark days.
Yeah. So Steve, I can't imagine being at the top of the world and then waking up in a random hospital bed and someone telling you that you can't walk again.
Yeah,
That's got to be a punch to the gut in more ways than one. And we have people listening to our podcast that may be in a situation that they have not asked for. Something tragic happened to them too, and they're probably wondering, probably what you wondered at the same time, what next? How do I go on from here? Could you could you dive into that with us and
please,
and,
yes,
and
thank
what
you.
you were thinking about on those days and what like how did you process all of that? There's a lot of trauma there.
I'm still processing it. I mean, it's 30 years, and I'm a public speaker now, so I get to go out and speak to people all around the country about it. And that's my therapy. People see me on stage in front of thousands of people, and it's like, oh, he's, this. No, that's my therapy. So I'm still, still processing it. But and like you said, I didn't ask for this. I didn't go out that night, for this in mind. And I woke up and was told. I had some very, very dark days in the hospital. With the thoughts, who's going to take care of me the rest of my life? Who's going to bathe me? Who's going to feed me? Who am I going to be a burden on? And I actually, unfortunately, who's going to take care of me? Maybe this world's a better place without me in it. I mean, nobody's going to want me, and I unfortunately had some thoughts come into my mind, and I can't stress that enough, because we're all in charge of our thoughts and our actions, and therefore our consequences. There's nobody else doing this for us. We all got it up there in our beautiful brains, and I was allowing all these negative thoughts, and then I thought to myself, maybe this world's a better place, and I thought about doing harm to myself. And the next couple days in the hospital, people were coming into my hospital room, the doctors, nurses, therapists, family members, community members, not doing their job, doing their passion of helping others and loving others.
Yeah.
And how did I treat them? Swearing at them, throwing anything I could at them, screaming at them, get out of my room. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. And I thought about doing harm to myself. But then after a couple days went through, I thought of my mom. And like I said, I lost my father when I was 19, and just 6 years later, here I am now, her baby. I'm the youngest of 4, and I'm her baby. And if I had done harm to myself, the impact it would have on my mom, my girlfriend Kim at the time, my 3 siblings, all these community members, all these people around the town and the state of Connecticut and the country that love me and care for me. If I did harm to myself, the impact it would have on them. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. Life is too beautiful. Life is too precious. I had an aha moment in my life after those couple days of darkness. I call my help. The nurses put me in a life jacket, and they brought me down to a swimming pool, and they put me in the water, and they put me in this chair that slowly lowered me into the water. And just weeks before this, or months before this, I can remember I could feel I'm water skiing basically, and now I'm paralyzed, and I'm getting lowered into the water, and the water hits my feet, and I can't feel it. And the water's coming up my legs, and I can't feel it. And this is weird. I'm starting to freak out. Like, what's going on here? But then it hit my hands, and it hit my chest and my face. And I had my aha moment right there in the swimming pool. I have to change my thinking. Yes, this was an awful decision to drink and drive. I am in a very bad place right now. But you know what? I'm alive. I am lucky to be alive. I did so much damage to my body the night of my crash, Matt, that I should have been killed, or worst case. I mean, it's to me, it's always the worst case scenario, right? There's a silver lining in everything, and here I am in a swimming pool floating around. I'm thinking to myself, I got to change my thinking. I have to. Nobody's gonna do it for me. People, we're all in this together. This beautiful world, we're all in this together, and there's advice for people and mentors and all that. But ultimately, it's up to me. It's up to that's listening. We got to do it. Nobody's gonna do it for us, So I'm thinking to myself, I'm 30 years ago in Wallingford, Connecticut, floating around a swimming pool. I'll never forget it. I'm thinking to myself, I have to change my thinking. I have to, get over this, accept what I had done. I made a terrible decision. I accept what I did. I've forgiven myself. That's so huge in life. And when I speak to thousands of kids a week, I tell them, forgive yourselves. So many people now, I forgive you, and that's beautiful, thank you. But how about when we mess up in life, take a second, take a sit back, look at ourselves, and forgive ourselves. I mean, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. And I forgave myself, and, I started dealing with it, and just moving on, and listening to the doctors, the nurses, the therapists. I had so many questions 30 years ago that didn't have answers. I didn't have anywhere to go. That's not the case anymore. For anybody that's listening, that's going through something, there's help everywhere. There's people everywhere. There's so much. There's research out there. There's 800 numbers. Anybody. I mean, just talk to people and educate. And we're all in this together. And no matter what's going on in life, I mean, it's a cliche, I know, but it could always be worse. So, long-winded answer. I had these dark days. I said, you know what? I have to change do I want to continue to be this jerk I've been for the last couple of days, this person that nobody wants to be around, this negative person? Or do I want to go back to who I was before? stud athlete, the life of the party, the public speaker, the public figure, and just go out and enjoy life and love life. And I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to move on, get out of this hospital, and get on with my life and be successful.
Well, and yeah, let's talk about that transition. So you had your I would say your low, your bottom out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, all right, I'm going to shift directions. I'm going to move on and move forward and go. You have since become a Paralympian for Team USA for
Yeah,
curling. Tell us about
yeah,
that and kind of how you got
yeah,
into that. Yeah, you're repping your USA jersey today. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. I am blessed to be able to do what I do. Half of my life right now is I travel the world and I compete for Team USA on the grandest of stages. Paralympic Games, World Championships, millions of people watching on TV. My other half is my public speaking. But I got stalked into the sport of curling about 11 years ago now. 12 years ago now. I'm minding my own business in Cape Cod, all by myself, just hanging out. This older gentleman comes along. He comes up to me. He's like, "Excuse me, are you local?" And I said, "No, I'm from Connecticut. I'm like 2.5 hours away." And there's like 10 seconds of silence between us. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking me up and down, Matt. He's looking me up and down. He's got a big, cheesy smile on his face. I'm thinking to myself, all right, I'm dead. Like, the Cape Cod Mafia got me. I'm
Yeah.
literally thinking about rolling off the pier into the ocean to get away from this guy. And I finally said to him, "So why'd you ask me that?" And he said, "Well, I train with the Paralympic curling team here in the Cape. I saw you pushing up the hill back there. And with your build, I can make you into an Olympian in a year." And I'm like, I heard Olympic. I got goosebumps right now. I'm like, Olympics? Let's go. What the heck's curling? I had no idea what the sport of curling was. I'm thinking, weightlifting, curls, bicep. I don't know. So I researched it, and then I went back and tried the sport, and it's sport on ice. Anybody that's listening, you can check it out, Google it, YouTube it. It's an amazing sport. And I made the team a couple months later. Literally, I went from not knowing anything about the sport to really getting into it and training hard. And I'm goal driven in my life, and I had a goal to make the team, and I earned a spot on the team in the summer of 24, and then been with the team ever since. And I got stalked into the sport. I mean, we talk about why things happen in life. I mean, he was driving down the road, and he saw me. If there was a red light 5 minutes prior or something, I would not. I'm an 11-time national champion. I've been to 2 Paralympic Games. I've competed in 10 World Championships, traveled the world, and met incredible people all over the place. All because one gentleman, Tony, his name is Tony, took 10 seconds out of his day to approach me and include me in what he was doing. And that's one of the main things when I speak to students or anybody that's listening, basically with my public speaking. I empower my audiences. Be Tony. Be Tony. Life is beautiful. We don't know. Everybody's going through something today. Hopefully it's not major, but we're all going through something today. And a simple smile, a hello, a good morning, an approach, a talk about something, it could change somebody's life. You might save a life.
It really does. Yeah, it goes a long way. And your story is just so inspirational because not only do you move on, but you're doing the things day in and day out to be and live this new life that you didn't ask for. And lo and behold, serendipitous opportunity comes along, and you grabbed a hold of it and you went forward. And it's that level of perseverance that I think everyone can get behind and get around, and what makes your story so special and wonderful. It's really mind-boggling.
We've all got it in us. Every
Yeah.
one of us has greatness in us, and that's one of the reasons why I love so much. I mean, I'll speak to anybody. We'll spend hours on here today if I could. I'll speak to anybody about my life and my story. But when I'm in front of 1,000 16, 17-year-olds, I tell we're all great. We all have this greatness. We're all great at something. And when you find that greatness, you go all in. You burn the boats. That's a line from Anthony Robbins, a mentor of mine, public speaker. Burn the boats. Go all in and do it, because we're not promised tomorrow. Life is beautiful. We're not promised tomorrow. My life slogan, what it's not what happens to you, it's what you decide to do with what happens.
So on that point, let me hone in on something. So I know in your situation, as you know, Ringler, we do structured settlements. That's our mission. That's our calling. That's our noble pursuit.
Amazing.
And I know, yeah, your situation did qualify for a structured settlement situation, but for those that are in maybe that accident that they didn't ask for, that something terrible happened to them at work. and they are weighing their options going forward. What would you say to them about having a powerful tool like a structured settlement going forward, if that was available to you then?
Please take advantage of it. Please. I know somebody, one of my former teammates. Unfortunately, he was a garbage man in New York City. He got pinned behind his garbage truck by a drunk driver. Both legs taken off, doubly amputated. Incredible human being. He had an opportunity to get a structured settlement 30 years ago, and he didn't take it. He took the lump sum, and he's living paycheck to paycheck now. He's struggling a little bit. He's hit me up many times in the past. Hey, can I borrow some money here and there? Got to take advantage of it. I wish, like you said, I didn't have the option being a drunk driver, and that's my label. I got no problem saying that. I didn't have that option of a structured settlement, but I also I'm a veteran, being in the military, so I have that to fall back on, and that's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing to say, but I'm honest. I always have the VA to fall back on if things get really, really tough. But with this life-changing event in my life 30 years ago, I've lived many weeks paycheck to paycheck, and if the option was there for me 30 years ago to receive this structured settlement and be, for lack of a better term, be set for the rest of my life and be comfortable and be able to get on with daily life and not worry about anything, I would absolutely have jumped at it 100%, because it's just, times are tough on people, and we need to, like I said, what Ringler's doing is doing amazing things, helping these people out and caring for these people. It's not like, I know many people in the Ringler Association. It's not like, come in one time and set this up. No, they're staying in contact with these people. They're reaching out. They're communicating. You care, and you care. And a structured settlement would have changed my life, worry-free for the most part. So if I had the opportunity, I would have done it in a heartbeat. I know a couple that did, and they did, and they're regretting it, because some of them are living paycheck to paycheck now.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the kind words, Steve. And it gives pause to folks that, if you are in that situation, every case is different, right? Some people may want to structure a lot more. Some people may want to structure a lot less, but it's that guaranteed payment stream that you can just take to the bank. It's contractually guaranteed, right? So very powerful what you said. So thank you very much. How do people get a hold of you if they liked what you said about your story, and really maybe talk a little bit more about how you engage with the youth of tomorrow and bring them up, and what do you talk about when you're meeting with these kids?
I am like I said, I'm blessed to be able to do what I do. I think I'm over 120 schools for this year already. When I get done with my curling career, our curling season, we end in the middle of March or so. So this past spring, from the middle of March to the end of June, I did 57 high schools all around the country. I mean, there's sometimes that I'm in a state for a week, and I do 10 schools a week, 11 schools a week, 2 a day. I just love it. And when I talk to any, first of all, I'm honest, I'm sincere, I'm up on stage, in front of a group, whatever. I don't lie about anything. It's just, my mission right now is to get my story out there and save lives. And especially these 16, 17, 18-year-olds that we all think we're invincible. And professional athletes, I'm talking with the Pacers right now. Hopefully I can get in with them. We're not invincible, and life can be changed in a heartbeat. So when I present, I talk about my life before. A lot of them. Adversity is an opportunity to succeed. I love adverse situations. I love goals. I love, move this pile of dirt from here to here and do it the right way. I love that. So that's what I talk about. I have my website, steveemt.com. So Steve and then EMT, my name.com. You can go on there, check out more about what I do. A contact sheet on there to fill out, whether it's corporate or anybody that's listening, thinks, hey, maybe my son or daughter really needs to hear this message. And, I'm going to talk to the school and bring Steve in. I would love to. I want to share, I'm looking at my phone right now because I have a message from one of the students. And this I have it on my screensaver because, people always ask about making impact. And I just want to share. It's real quick. I want to share it.
Yeah, please.
I was at your Searsport, Maine today for your speech, and I wanted to let you know that my friends and I enjoyed it a lot. Typically, when we get presentations like that, we don't pay much attention, but something about you and the way you presented your story and yourself made us invested. And I can honestly say that's the best school speech I've ever been to and had the pleasure of hearing. Excuse me. We love what you're doing and hope you never stop because you changed so many lives by telling your story. Me.
That's what it's all about.
I don't get speechless often, but when I read that and I see it, my phone rings and I see that, it's amazing. That's exactly what it's all about, and that's all of us. But that's what I do. I can't do it enough. You know, people see 20 schools in a week or 10 schools. 12, no, let's go. Life's too short. We're not promised tomorrow. It's not what happens to you. It's what you decide to do. What happens. Life is beautiful.
Steve, I really appreciate you taking the time, giving us pause, perspective, insight, and frankly, energy to go about our day. So really appreciate you sharing your story. And we'll put the way to get in contact with Steve in our show notes. But really appreciate your time today, Steve. Take care.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me. Thank you all, Ringwood Radio. Thank you. You all are amazing, and keep doing what you're doing because you're changing lives for sure. We appreciate you all.